I just want to recruit you guys as Smile Elves. Santa has commissioned me to recruit you guys and everyone I find to help the Christmas spirit and help the Christmas cheer by enrolling Smile Elves. The Toy Elf Union is full and you can't get into that one. You wouldn't want the North Pole anyway. But you can do it wherever you go. And travelers, if you'll beam a smile. Now here's the second piece of it. You're all in. You're in for the Smile Elf thing, right?
Sure.
Sure, because it doesn't cost you. Now here's the part that might cost you a little time. I deputized each of you to enroll other Smile Elves. I hope you will. Whoever you see anybody with a smile, or even if they don't have one that they're showing readily, if you can cajole one out of them, hire them as Smile Elves, and that way Santa will have all the help he needs to spread this season of love and Christmas cheer.
All right.
All right?
Smile.
All right.
Gonna find out a little bit about Cuddle Parties.
Well, Cuddle Parties started on February 29th of 2004. The first one was held in Manhattan. And Reed Mihalko and Marcia Baczynski invented it and created this wonderful kind of workshop social event where people come together and learn communication skills and rules about how to be polite cuddlers and exchangers of compassion, kindness, affection in a non-sexual, non-threatening atmosphere. That's also drug and alcohol free.
What misconceptions do you think people have about Cuddle Parties?
Oh, the wild one is that obviously anything that says cuddle is an orgy, and it's Reed Mihalko is such a fun-loving guy. He built in a lot of humor. The original set of rules had rule number 7, which was called no dry humping. Who's gonna sit through an hour workshop in order to cop a feel? It's ridiculous. The one time they featured Cuddle Party on CSI New York episode, they wrote it right into the script. One of the victims was a blind girl who'd been to 3 cuddle parties before she was murdered. She had a GPS and they backtracked her. So then they put this cuddle party on CSI New York. And the one thing that they were perfect in explaining the technicalities of it, but in their 2 minutes of displaying Cuddle Party, the actresses were a little too pretty and the PJs were a little too skimpy for our real taste. We spread the blankets in here and also on the floor here, and we have the pit here and there.
Is this typical Cuddle Party music?
Yeah, that would be typical. And, well, actually, you could have a mix of any kind. And different folks will put in the mix what they like. It ends with a puppy pile. Before the welcome circle, the puppy pile is a ritual ending for Cuddle Party where the husky people who want to be on the bottom and feel a lot of pressure, they get on the bottom. And then there's a layer of people on top of that, and usually a layer on top of that. Very seldom does it get to 4 layers, but you've seen puppies in a
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And so this simulates that, and people will, it'll all go to humor and laughter. Laughter is very common. Tears and laughter. People will get to tears because they'll say things like, I haven't been touched in 15 years, and they'll just burst out from joy at being touched. You got to ask, and you got to get a clear yes. If someone says no, no is a complete sentence. You don't need to explain it. And one of the rules is, if you're a maybe, say no. So think about it. If someone comes up and says, would you like to rub my shoulders? And, if you're not really sure you want to, you're better off to just say no. Not maybe later, because they'll keep coming back and asking. You really don't want them to keep coming back and asking. There are practical ways to handle people who show up after working all day if they've got body odor. We'll have a facility where they can sponge bath, wash off, clean up, give them deodorant. Breath mints are a common commodity at a Cuddle Party. So, and also, we teach in the Welcome Circle that if you come up on somebody who has a breath problem, even me, tell me.
The free hugs movement.
Absolutely.
How do you feel that relates? Do you feel like that's kind of a lesser version, or?
Well, yeah, that's the instance free sample version that you can get at a mall or a shopping center or someplace. And I think that the people who have the courage to do that are phenomenal. I mean, I'm a counselor and also a massage therapist, and I know from doing both, body work, touch, is more profound and quicker at getting results than hours and hours of talk therapy. And a free hug could be just the stimulus someone needs to get back into saying yes to touch in their life and getting rid of that deprivation. You know, if you put it on a hierarchy of urgency, time urgency, touch is a 3-day need. Deprivation after 3 days will cause symptoms. Irritability and emotional fragility. You become emotionally like a live wire. You're ready. You could be tripped. You could go into bursts of anger, bursts of, you know. So after 3 days of deprivation, symptoms begin, and the longer the deprivation goes on, the worse they get. Why is this not important in our culture? Because we think being irritable and cranky is normal. Virginia Satir, a famous therapist, said, you need 3 hugs a day to survive. You need 6 to keep even. You need 9 to grow and 12 to thrive. So the free hug thing is great, but it's just one hug. Now, come on. It's priming the pump in the right direction, but how do we really get a place where we can have a feast, as it were? Oh, very rarely will, you know, some personality thing happen, or someone will speak offensively or sexualize the space with innuendo or things like. One person was talking a lot about death, and it was fine for the 2 people who were interested in the death conversation, but the 5 people next to them were less interested in death, and so all that facilitator had to do was say, okay, let's put a little space so that people don't have to overhear a bunch of death stuff. You can talk about death, of course, free speech, but let's, you know, it comes down to common courtesy.
Are there any people that you think cuddle parties are not for?
People who cannot come somewhere sober, if people who have to be stoned, drugs and alcohol are not allowed on premises, and if anyone's detected as being high or intoxicated, we want the natural intoxication to take place, and therefore we don't want the chemically induced. So those people would not be welcome. Did you ever hear of oxytocin? It's the bonding hormone.
Right.
Oxytocin.
Yeah.
After 3 hours of cuddling and just being together, having conversation, this group of people transforms into a glowing, happy, relaxed, dazed, glazed, and amazed set of folks.
Yeah.
They can more,
So it's like a natural drug.
Oh, the only way to fly is a natural high.
What does it take to become a certified facilitator, and who certifies you?
Yeah, there are about 4 trainers on the board of Cuddle Party. Certification training is about creating those parties. It's about learning the marketing. It's about learning how to create the space. It's about learning about how to do music for it, how to, you know, set up all the refreshments. It's about paperwork and learning the welcome circle, learning the script, and learning how to guide people through it, learning how to. The real fundamental lesson of the Foundations of Facilitation workshop is how to be present. If you know how to be present, you'll know how to solve whatever comes up.
What other subcultures do you think intersect with the cuddle party subculture?
Well, what we're
what
we're trying to do is have it as broad-based and mainstream as possible. But to be honest with you, the cutting-edge people are the ones who go to Burning Man or to tantric communities or to sex-positive communities, and there's a lot of people in the gay, lesbian, transsexual, those communities, people who have a subculture where the mechanics for cuddling are not, you know, the typical neighborhood, you know, family farm. When you had extended families and things were more villagey, people grew up in a village or grew up in a clan, you always had an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, or somebody. If someone got mad at you, you had someone else to go to. We don't have that. We have isolated. What do people live in? If they don't have a house, they live in an apartment. You know, if they're living apartment, I mean, the emphasis on being apart.
Huh.
And so cuddle parties are togetherment.